Hello, and welcome to the Health Data Ethics Podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Owens, and I'm here today with one of the most special, most important guests I've ever had on the podcast.
Aaron!
This is my son, Aaron. Aaron, how old are you?
11.
Excellent. And Aaron and I are doing a podcast together today because I thought it would be really fun to get the perspective of a new generation on artificial intelligence and healthcare. So Aaron would like to make sure that everybody knows that he is a young tech non-expert, but he has a lot of experience with computers and a lot of opinions about things.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to tell people?
I am definitely a non-expert because I can barely edit my own videos, so.
I mean, this is how you get better, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can we start with a definition, Aaron? Can we talk about what does artificial intelligence mean to you?
Well, when someone says artificial intelligence, to me, I just imagine like the really old computers that have like the big backs to them, and then there's just like a really tiny person inside of there, and they're working the computer from the inside. So it's kind of weird for me to imagine that, but it's cool for me to think about how it would work.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what it's called when you have a big shell of a computer and an actual person inside working the stuff?
A scam?
It's called a mechanical Turk, and it is a scam. Yeah. Okay, so we've talked about our definition of artificial intelligence. You wanted to talk a little bit about how AI is in everything. Share some of your thoughts on this.
So, this morning we were just talking about how we were going to edit this, and you said we were actually going to use AI to edit this. And AI is just working itself into every aspect of our lives, like AI controls how long our food stays in the microwave, how long we charge our devices for. AI even controls mostly of healthcare in everywhere.
There is a lot of artificial intelligence in healthcare. You're right about that. That's what I do during some of my day job. It's one of the things that I talk about on the podcast. There's a lot of artificial intelligence in healthcare. Tell me about, so you said AI is in everything.
Yeah.
Tell me some ways that AI is making things better.
So AI is making things better because it can run through complex algorithms and find out the best things for patients to do. Like, let's say you have a broken wrist. It can figure out what way you need to orient the splint. It can figure out how long you need to have the splint on. And it can just help people in so many ways, and we haven't figured out all those ways yet.
Yeah. When we were prepping for this podcast, the phrase you used for artificial intelligence was work in progress. And I think that's a really interesting way to think about it, right? So when you're saying that AI can do these things, can help support some of our healthcare workers, I think that's true, but I think it's also really interesting to try to kind of find where's that line? Like, where do you want a doctor or a nurse or, a physical therapist saying, hey, these are the exercises that I want you to do for your wrist. And this is the way that I think we should splint it based on your x-rays and, the swelling that I'm seeing here versus when would you trust, an algorithm to do that?
So I would trust a doctor or a nurse or a physical therapist in like personal situations, like if they're like a doctor that I've had for a long time. Like, and the AI just learned.
Yeah, the AI doesn't know you very well, does it?
Yeah, the AI just learned about me, and it just now learned that everything that has happened to me. And the doctors already know that. They have a file that says everything about me. And I would trust a doctor or physical therapist for like big broken things, like if let's say I broke a rib. I would trust them for that.
I would trust a lot of people for a broken rib because there's not a lot of medical advice for a broken rib, right?
Yeah.
Unless it's where someplace it's not supposed to be. It's like, hey, well.
Because also I don't really trust AI in personal situations because it's not, again, it's a work in progress, and AI messes up a lot of the time.
And so that's the other topic that we talked about while we were preparing for this podcast. We were talking about artificial intelligence worries. And one of the things that you had called out was that you don't trust it to drive.
Yeah. So, like, there's this machine learning stuff. And there's this machine learning algorithm that is helping people drive. And, like, you were saying when you went to where was it? You went somewhere with your friends, and you had an Uber who had a Tesla, and he used the auto drive, and you said it was super bumpy.
It was really like it accelerated very quickly, and then it would come really close to a car, and then it would hit the brakes really hard. It was not a smooth or a comfortable ride.
Yeah. So AI kind of needs to learn to drive fluently. Like, I trust human drivers more because they can learn more quickly. AI takes like thousands of hours to learn just how to press the gas pedal.
Well, and a human being can incorporate all sorts of different sensory input when they're driving, right? They can listen, they can feel, like they feel the forces as the car's accelerating or decelerating. And AI doesn't have any of that. It only knows what we tell it. It doesn't have a physical relationship with the world around it.
Yeah. So all AI knows is what it's put into.
Yep.
So even if, like, these self-driving cars that they put in a maze of vases kind of things.
Yeah.
So if they know that there's, say, 35 vases, but they accidentally put in 36,
Yes.
the AI is more likely to hit that last one than any of the other ones.
Whereas a human being is capable of seeing the vases and rationalizing, my goal was not to hit those 35 vases. I'm not going to hit vase number 36 because, well, one of the things that computers are really good at that people aren't great at is counting, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if that is vase 35. Maybe it's not, so it's one of those things where a little bit of human reasoning can go a really long way. We are coming up to the end of our recording time. Is there anything else that you want to talk about?
What are some ways the AI has helped you in your daily job?
Oh my. So we talked about using artificial intelligence to edit the podcast, which is extremely cool. And I didn't think I was going to be very into it until the tool was presented to me, and I love it. Yeah. So this platform will generate a transcript, and then all I have to do if I want to cut chunks out of this is literally just delete the text in the transcript, and then the chunk of video automatically gets cut. It's very cool. I've been working on training a personal GPT to hold on to the material that I'm using for this podcast in the hopes that it can be kind of a library and an archive. That's nifty, although it's still struggling a little bit with what things are related to each other. Yeah. So, training a GPT is good practice too. I'm also a really big fan of Copilot. We have Copilot at work, and having a note taker for meetings that I don't have to be, oh my goodness, that is incredibly helpful. Sometimes it misses the mark, but it's good to jog your memory.
So speaking of Pilot, we are going to Thailand, and so there are airplanes that can fly themselves that
Absolutely.
also don't even fly at all.
I mean, what does Pop tell you he does? He gets in the plane, he does the takeoff, he puts the autopilot on. And he's joking. There's more to it than that. Yeah, but it's still really cool, right?
But they're planes that can fly themselves undergo a lot more turbulence than the planes that are human operated.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because the AI doesn't really know where the airstrips are, and the pilots that have flown over there more know, like, how high, how low to go.
Sure. One of the things that people do much better than artificial intelligence is long-term memory, right? Yeah. Artificial intelligence has a very short memory, usually. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Any final thoughts?
AI is super cool.
Thank you.
I tried to make it and it didn't work out.